Hello everyone, Dr. Polaris here. When discussing the natural world, there are sometimes unfortunate negative stereotypes attached to certain animal species. In many Western countries, for example, snakes, wolves and owls were traditionally associated with evil and the devil, while modern popular culture often fixates on the menacing killer shark, the duplicitous weasel, or the lazy, cowardly hyena. Such biased opinions often do not reflect biological fact, with sharks responsible for an average of just 5 human fatalities per year, snakes being rather fearful of people, while spotted hyenas are intelligent, very capable pack hunters. Extinct animals are not immune from similar bad press, with the late Jurassic genus Ceratosaurus being a prime example of a dinosaur often depicted as incompetent, backward and primitive, especially when compared to the contemporary Allosaurus. This can be seen in the admittedly pretty terrible Jurassic Fight Club, amusingly renamed to Dinosaur Secrets in the UK, as if to cover up its low-brow nature. A show guilty of promoting a variety of strange, preposterous speculations regarding dinosaur behaviour, such as Deinonychus being able to communicate with hand gestures like Navy SEALs, as well as indulging in the worst awesome bro paleo-media tropes, including an almost complete emphasis on combat, and the presentation of dinosaurs as bloodthirsty killing machines. Also, for whatever reason, this show has a massive fanboy fixation on Allosaurus being a so-called perfect predator, while the scientific contributors constantly dunk on poor Ceratosaurus, presenting it as an evolutionary failure. In my opinion then, Jurassic Fight Club is basically the Ancient Aliens of paleo documentaries, something to laugh at and criticise. So to counter all of the Ceratosaurus bashing by George Blazing et al., I'm devoting this episode to covering the horned predator, as well as some of its lesser known contemporaries. Giving its name to an entire clade of theropods, Ceratosaurus was native to the late Jurassic Morrison Formation of the western United States, between 152 and 148 million years ago, with additional discoveries in the year 2000 revealing that the genus was also an inhabitant of the Portuguese Lourinhã Formation. The type species, Ceratosaurus nasicornis, was first described by Othniel Marsh in 1884, with a pair of additional species, C. dentisculatus and C. magnicornis, being proposed at the turn of the millennium, although these are controversial. The specimen examined by Marsh was nearly complete and measured between 5.3 metres, 17 feet, and 5.69 metres, or 18.7 feet long. Larger specimens have since been described, which include the alleged dentisculatus individual, which reached about 7 metres or 23 feet long. Overall, Ceratosaurus was a medium-sized theropod, characterised by deep jaws, greatly elongated blade-like teeth, and a prominent horn on the nose, as well as smaller brow horns over the eyes. Like some of the related and more derived abelisaurids, Ceratosaurus possessed a row of osteoderms extending down the neck, back and tail, as well as notably small forelimbs, although these were not quite as stubby and potentially vestigial as in animals like Carnotaurus. Weight estimates vary quite considerably, ranging from about 450 to 980 kilograms, or up to 2,160 pounds, putting an average Ceratosaurus in the same mass bracket as a large male Kodiak bear. It lived in what was then an arid alluvial floodplain crossed by many rivers, with stands of gallery forest lining the river channels, being composed of gymnosperms and an understory of ferns, horsetails and cycads. In this environment, Ceratosaurus lived alongside a diverse array of other dinosaurs, many of which are very well known and iconic, such as Stegosaurus, Apatosaurus and Diplodocus. It was a member of a wide guild of Morrison carnivores, which included the larger Allosaurus and Torvosaurus, as well as numerous smaller species such as Ornitholestes, Stoxosaurus and Coparion. Along with Torvosaurus, this genus seems to have been quite a rare animal when compared to Allosaurus, with the remains of the latter being about 7.5 times as common as those of Ceratosaurus. Why this was the case is still unclear, as is our understanding of the relationship between the Morrison's 3 species of large top-order carnivores. It has been suggested that these animals inhabited different ecological niches, and may have preferred different ecosystems within the formation, with researchers noting the long, low and flexible body of Ceratosaurus and megalosaurids such as Torvosaurus. Compared to other Morrison theropods, Ceratosaurus showed taller neural spines on the foremost tail vertebrae, which were vertical rather than inclined towards the back. Robert Bakker has argued that these anatomical traits are consistent with a more semi-aquatic lifestyle, with the elongated dagger-like teeth being useful for snagging fish. This view has since been contested, however. On the contrary, allosaurids feature a shorter, taller and stiffer body with longer legs. They would have probably been better adapted for rapid running in open terrain, and for preying upon large herbivorous dinosaurs such as sauropods and stegosaurus. Therefore, Ceratosaurus may have preferred more heavily forested environments, where it could successfully ambush its prey, delivering quick slashing bites. Those teeth may have also come in handy while scavenging large sauropod carcasses, which could potentially provide a bonanza of easy meat for carnivores, much as whale falls do on the ocean floor. The sheer numerical presence of Allosaurus may have been due to it having a very broad tolerance for a variety of habitats and prey types, with its powerful forelimbs enabling the animal to grab and restrain smaller ornithischians, while its small saw blade teeth and powerful neck muscles would be effective in hunting juvenile sauropods. Ceratosaurus was potentially more specialised in its preferences, but this does not mean that it was something of an evolutionary failure. Being a long-lived genus that persisted alongside Allosaurus for about 5 million years, both in the United States and Portugal, it is also inaccurate to portray Ceratosaurus as an unintelligent throwback when compared to Allosaurus, as studies of the brain cavities of both theropods have revealed a great many similarities between the two, including similar levels of visual acuity and olfactory ability. In addition, the abellisaurid relatives of Ceratosaurus went on to thrive during the Cretaceous, particularly on the southern continents, showing that being relatively basal is not an impediment to success. So in conclusion, ignore Jurassic Fight Club. While Ceratosaurus definitely has a bad rap, it is at least a relatively famous animal, often turning up in pop culture, including in Disney's Fantasia, Jurassic Park 3, and even having the honour of being the first recognisable dinosaur genus to star in a live-action film, with this being in the 1914 silent film Brute Force. Although I'll gladly be corrected on this if anyone can find an earlier portrayal. Because I can think of no better time to cover them, I'd like to also briefly mention two of the Morrison formation's lesser known theropods that don't seem to receive much coverage. The first of these was another medium-sized predator, the somewhat mysterious Martiasaurus, known from several quite fragmentary specimens that include remnants of the pelvis and elements of jawbone. This animal has been tentatively estimated to measure roughly 4.5 metres or 15 feet long. This is a few feet shorter than the holotype of Ceratosaurus, and, like that genus, Martiasaurus seems to have been a rare animal, as its remains recovered from the Cleveland Lloyd dinosaur quarry were found alongside numerous Allosaurus individuals. As so little is known about Martiasaurus, it is difficult to say exactly how it differed from the other Morrison theropods, but given its somewhat modest size, it probably competed with juvenile Allosaurus, targeting smaller prey species such as Camptosaurus and young sauropods. In terms of classification, Martiasaurus has usually been recovered as a member of Piatnitskysauridae, a family once thought to be megalosauroids. However, more recent studies have found this group to be early diverging allosauroids instead, making Martiasaurus a more basal cousin of its contemporary Allosaurus. Another Morrison theropod that received little coverage is the basal tyrannosauroid Stokesaurus, a member of the small dinosaurian predator guild at the formation, which was mostly made up of coelurosaurs, a lineage that would go on to great success during the Cretaceous. However, in the late Jurassic, these theropods were generally quite small and marginal animals. Stokesaurus was actually among the largest of the coelurosaurs native to the Morrison, measuring up to 2.5 metres or 8.2 feet long. Unlike the massive tyrannosaurs of the late Cretaceous, this would have been a slender, lightly built hunter of small prey, potentially feeding on mammals, lepidosaurs and hatchling dinosaurs. Like Martiasaurus, it is represented by pretty fragmentary remains, with the holotype specimen consisting of a single left ilium, so not much can really be said about it. A variety of other small theropods in a similar size range are known from the Morrison, including the more famous Ornitholestes, the fellow tyrannosauroid Silurus, and the tiny early troodontid Hesperornithoides. All of these would make good subjects for a future episode, but that is all from me for now. Thanks for watching, everyone. The next episode will be covering the early evolution of the plesiosaurs, so until then please feel free to support me on Patreon if you like, where you can suggest topics for me to cover, receive ad-free early access to my stuff, as well as helping me keep the lights on. Oh, and remember, Jurassic Fight Club sucks. Cheerio.